Good morning once again. Kindly confirm if I'm audible or not. Am I audible or not? Okay. So we'll start with the next topic then. We were discussing about the classes. Discuss about the introduction to the classes OOPS concept that class can be defined with the help of class keyword, and then we can create the instance of that class that is known as your object. And then I have discussed about the different then I have also discussed about the self keyword. Self means now I have also told about one more thing, that this double score init, these type of the functions have special meaning um, in the Python library, right? I'll also explain the one example with you whenever I'll discuss about the operator overloading. I'll discuss that how they are, how actually, suppose I have a plus operator, right? That plus operator is working, how it is working behind the scene, that can be discussed with these type of the functions. Only this is the function, right? So init is initializer, kind of a constructor, you can say. It will automatically created or automatically evaluated whenever I am going to create any kind of the object. So one basic thing I have discussed with you, that what is class variable, the obviously the variable that are going to define after the class, that is class variable. Init, any variable inside the init method, initializer method, that is your instance variable. Then we have discussed about the types of the method. We have instance method, class method, static method. So init ke andar whatever the function you are going to define or a method you are going to define, that is your instance method. And at the rate class method decorator is used to define the class method. So in this case, I have defined info. CLS is the argument that I have passed. Return CLS dot college. So it is going to return me the value, this variable in that. So decorator class method is used to define the class method, and static method is simple, info to hey I am done. Nothing is passed in the argument. That is your static argument method. Then after that, of this particular student class, I have created two object S1 and S2. Okay, and now I'm printing the average. So average function I have defined inside the method in the student class. So it is going to return me the value. Let me run this. 19.0 is the average value it has calculated. Okay, this is the as M1 where 23 plus 34 divided by 3. It has done that. Then student.info, I'll get to know that, hey, I am done. And student.info2. This is, I have only called this method. This is not going to print anything because I am printing with the help of this. Okay. Sorry, if I have done print student.info, it has called this info method and print the college. And then info directly I'm calling the class by static method by writing the class name student.info2. Then that is my this statement, print I am done. Okay, then we have next is inheritance. These are the different type of methods. Then we have inheritance. Inheritance is basically, okay, so I'll run one type of inheritance first. That is my single inheritance. Inheritance means there will be a one parent class and then there will be a child class. So child class inheritance the property of the parent. It has its own property also and it will inherit the property of the parent also. Right? So I have created a class A by writing the class keyword, and in that I have created two function 1 and the function 2. And I'm just printing one statement here. I'm function 1, I'm function 2. Then I have created another class B. So this is a simple example of inheriting the class. Write the first class name. This is my subclass B. And in the bracket, write the parent class which you want to inherit. So this is the basic syntax of writing the inheritance. This is single level inheritance I am using. A, then there is a one base class, one subclass, or one parent class, one child class, right? So in the derived class, or we can also say that derived or inherited class, in that class I have used function 3 and function 4 two statements, right? After that, what I am doing, I am creating the object of class B, not the class A. I am creating the object of class B. So if I run this, it what it'll do, it will print all the functions. Unexpected ident in line 30. This is done. This is done. It is in comment, then why it is giving the error? Wait for a second. Okay, this is running it successfully. It means now if I want to access any of the method by using this function B class, it will give me the value for that, right? How? Because if I want to access, if I write like B dot uh, B dot, now you can see it has the ability to access the function 1, function 2, function 3, function 4. It means it can also access the function of A class because I am inheriting the property of that one. So if I write like this, function 1, uh, func1, Okay, I'm doing some wrong thing. Yes. Okay, so with the object we are going to call the functions, right? So you can see here with the object of B class, I can access the function of A class. This is the one example of inheritance, the basic, very basic example, right? Now, in the single one, okay. Now the next one is multi-level inheritance. Okay, multi-level means me one parent class and more than one your base classes will be there. Okay, so in the one that in your one base class, I have taken one base class is class A. In the two function, I have taken function 1 and function 2. Then I have created another class B that is inheriting the property of class A, function 3, function 4. And then C is inheriting the property of A. So multi-level, 1, then 2, then 3. Different levels are there, right? One parent, then another parent, then another one parent, then its child, then that child is behaving as a parent for the another class. Okay, so now I have created the object of this particular class, C. It means C is inheriting the property of B and B is inheriting the property of A. So C can have access all the functions. Like if you want me to do C1 dot, see, it has the access of function 1, 5, 6, 3, 4, 2. All the functions it can access. Suppose if I want to access the function 1 of A class, then if I will be able to do that, yes, I'm in function 1. It is giving me the output. If I'll write C1 dot function 3, that is a function of B class, then I'll be able to do that. Yes, I can do that. Okay, so this is one of the simple example. Fine. So then we have multiple, single, multi-level, multiple inheritance. That is the last one. Now, what happened in case of the multiple inheritance? There is one class. Multiple means two parents are there and one child is there. Okay, so there will be a concept of method resolution order. MRO, method resolution order. Now, what I mean by this method resolution order, suppose I have taken class A, this is my parent class in which I have declared two function 1 and 2, right? And then I have taken a second class in which we have two function 3 and 4. Okay, then class C is inheriting the property of the class C is inheriting the property of A and B. Okay, so now look at here. See what happened whenever I try to learn C 1 is equal to C. Okay, and this capital C will be there. Okay, I have created the class of this particular object. Now C1 dot C, it has function 1 and function 2. It can access the function 1 and function 2 and also the function 3 and function 4. So it can access all the functions of this class. But what is the difference between this multi-level and multiple inheritance? What happened in the multiple inheritance? There is a concept of method resolution order. Right, we know that every class in the Python is derived from the object class, and whatever the class, all the classes, either they are built in or the user defined, are the derived classes, and all the objects are instance of the object classes, right? So what happened in case of the multiple inheritance? Any specified attribute is searched first in the current class. If not found, then search continue into the parent class. it is the concept of your inheritance, that whatever the function or the variable you want to search, first it is, if I suppose if I have taken these example of the single inheritance here, uh, this one, that I have created A and B class. So for example, if I want to access the function 2, I know that this function is here present in the A class, but what the compiler will do, first it will, as I am inheriting the property of A also, first it will do, it will check its in own class B. If it is not present, then it has the ability to access in the A class also, then it check there and will give you the output. So this is the basic concept of your inheritance. Okay. Okay, now method resolution order basically in the multiple class give you the order of the precedence, that how you are going to find the value for that. Like if I have written C drive class and A or B, so first of all it is going to access the A class, then it is going to access the B class behind the scenes. Okay, if I have written B or B first and A after that, then it is going to access the B class first and then going to access the A class first. Fine. So if I'll do like something like this, print um, C dot MRO. See what happened. You can see first the class C, that is the its own class, it is accessing in its own class, then it is going into the class A, then it is going to the class B, and then the object. Okay, if I'll write, now look at this output, now if I'll write class B comma A here, now check the difference in the output. After C it is going to the class B, then to the class. So method resolution order is basically going to give you the order in which you are going to access the parent class. Okay, this is about that. The next concept in the classes is your method overloading. Sorry, operator overloading. Okay, so operator overloading mean we can change the meaning of an operator in the Python depending upon the operand that is going to be used. Fine. So Python operators works for the built-in classes, but the same operator will going to behave in a different way with different types. Like if I'll simply take an example of plus operator, right? Plus operator, if I'm adding two integer value, it is going to give you the sum. But if I'm adding two string value, it is going to concatenate those two, not giving you the sum. It is going to concatenate, right? So uh, this feature in the Python that allow the same operator to have different meaning according to the context, it is known as the operator overloading, right? So I'll just take a simple example here. Suppose I'll create a class student. I'll create a class student, then uh, def init space will be there. Self comma m1 comma m2. two argument I have passed. Now this is not three arguments. Self is basically referencing itself. So the two argument I have passed, M1 and M2. Then self dot M1 is equal to M1. Self dot M2 is equal to M2. Okay. Then what I'll do after coming out of this, S1 is equal to student. Suppose I have taken 58, 69. And S2 is equal to fine. Now suppose I just want to do simple thing. S3 is equal to S1 plus S2. Right? See what happened in the output. First of all, just let me make it all in comment. Operator overloading we are doing. Okay. So I am getting an error, unsupported operand types for plus student and student. Now what it is saying? It is saying that we cannot add student plus student. It means what we are doing, we are adding two classes and there is no such concept available in the classes. Right? Okay. So if you want to access directory class, help class, if I am getting anything, no. Okay, so you are not going to get the views like this. So in the class, we don't have, like you can see, if I'll check on this thing, you can find different type of the functions, but there is no such functions to the related to add is there in the class. Right? So to make this thing, like we know that what is the meaning of the plus operator, like I have already told you one thing, that one of the objects have some different meaning. If I'll write like, I'll just give you the one simple example. If I do something like this, let me do here. A is equal to 10 I have taken, B is equal to 20 I have taken, and I am doing A plus B, 30. Right? So how this A plus is B is working behind, it is actually equivalent to int, whatever the class I want to write, dot add, right? And 10 comma 20. This is how it is working inside the memory or behind the scenes. Okay, so this is how this operator plus operator is going to work inside the function. This is This is inbuilt method that I have already told you. This double underscore functions are having special meaning. So this is how this a plus b is going to behave in the memory. Okay, so I have done this thing that I cannot add two classes, so I'm getting this error. So how to work the operator overloading with the classes concept? So what I'll do, I'll create a function here, def add self, and this is the another argument I have passed, in which I'll pass s1 is equal to self dot m1 plus other dot m1. Okay, the same thing I'll do with the second class function, second object if I have created. So m2 is equal to other dot m2. Okay, so now how this is going to behave, this is going to behave like student. Now I have defined a student class. In this particular class I am calling this add. This is how it is going to behave, s1 and s2 inside the memory, this thing. Okay, so now I'll try to run this. What happened? It is working fine. I haven't printed the statement, so that is why it is giving me this print s3. Okay, I haven't returned something. Return s3. Name s3 is not. Is not defined. Okay, wait for a second. S3 is equal to student s1 comma s2. That I need to do, then it will going to return the s3. So if I run this, so I am printing the statement only here. So that is why I am getting this value. What I need to do, s3 dot m1. Okay, if I'll do this, I'll get the value. Fine, I'm just adding this thing. If I'll write, so this is the example of operator overloading in the class. Whenever I have access through the M2, it has given me that main object at this, it is giving me the memory location where the object is being stored. With the help of this M1, I will get the output, accurate output. Okay. So this is operator overloading. We have changed the meaning of addition here. Like initially, but we are not able to add the values, but after overloading this add method with this particular operation, we have add the value of two classes also. Okay, then we have next the concept of method overloading and overriding. Method overloading is not supported in the Python, like other languages. We cannot implement method overloading, but we can do some trick to implement that. Okay, that is not supported, but we can do some trick to implement the method overloading if you want to. We have a trick that what we can do, suppose again I am taking this class here. Okay. The class student I have taken, then I have initialized the method, then the M1 and M2 I have taken. Then after that, I want to create a function S sum, def sum, self, comma A, comma B, suppose I am doing. Okay. In that, I just want to do S is equal to S is equal to A plus B. Then return S. Then okay, if I'll do like here, S1 is equal to student, then I'm going to create a object. This thing I'll take from here. This line, I'm creating the object S1, and then I'll do print S1 dot sum. Okay, so see what happened. Sum missing two required positional argument A and B. Okay, I need to give the argument here also. Suppose I'll give 5, 9. Okay, so if I'll try to run this, okay, 14 as the answer. Okay, so what I have done here, I have created a class, then initialized the function, then created a sum function in which I am passing the two values and creating this thing. Now, what happened? Method overloading means, what do you mean by method overloading? The same function in the class is calling with a different number of the argument. We can pass different number of the argument, right? So if I want to pass 6 here, obviously it is going to give me the error, 3 position argument, but 4 are given. And in case if I'll give 1, it will going to give me the error that 2 need to give, 1 is given, right? So there is no such support available to this Python method overloading in the Python, but we can do this thing with the trick. Suppose I have given 1, 3, 3 values and I want to pass the different values like this. I want to make like this key. If I'll pass 1 argument, then my function will work. If I'll pass 2 argument, then my function will work. If I pass 3 argument, then my function will work. Okay, I want to do this thing. So what can I do? I can either they make use of that variable length argument that we have done, or we can also do one more thing, that I will do a by default value none here to every alpha. What is happening, right? And C is equal to none. This I have done. Okay, Then after that, after doing this, I need to obviously create a loop also, condition put also, that if one value is given, what happened, two values given, what happened, three values given, what happened. So I'll do s is equal to 0. Then after that, if a is not equal to none, a is not equal to none, and b is not equal to none, and c is not equal to none, then what happen? Then add all the values. Do s is equal to a plus b plus c. Okay. And if, again I'm going to copy this only till a and b, because I need only two values. If two are there, if I have passed two value, then what happen? S is equal to a plus b only, else s is equal to a, and then I'll do return s and this thing. So what happen if I'll pass three values? A is not okay. Let me clear all these stuffs before. See, it is giving me the sum 20. Now, what happen if I'll pass two values only? And what happen if I'll pass one value only? It is going to give me result in every case. So this is a trick we have done to implement the method overloading. As such, it is not supported in the Python. So we can also implement the method overloading by some tricky tricks. Okay. Then we have the concept of method overriding that is supported in the Python. So method overriding means what we are doing. Suppose I have declared a class A in which I'm just going to have one function show self. It is printing that in a, what is happening, self. It is printing that in a show. Okay. Then I have created a class B. I don't know why the students are joining again and again. Then class B, and in the class B, what I am doing, obviously the method overriding concept means the different classes, the object is going to behave like that. So what I am doing, wait. Why you all are getting disconnected again?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, audible.
Ma'am, some of the students I think keeps removing us from the class. I have been reconnecting from like past 15 to 20 minutes. I joined like class 14 times.
Who can you remove you? Even I have
I
only
don't
the
know,
rights
ma'am.
of removing.
After some time, it just keeps showing that someone removed you from class.
How can this happen?
I don't know, ma'am.
Ma'am, many students have the right to remove and admit the students right now.
Okay, so I don't know, but according to me, the settings are, because this session is not created by me. So according to me, the settings are like that I can only permit you, but I don't know whosoever is there.
Ma'am, presenter rights are given to like more than half of the class. Only 2 attendees are there. That is me and Janvi. Rest all are presenters, so they can remove, I think.
Okay, so I need to check the settings also then. Presenters are 12. Okay, wait for a second. Let me make them attendee. Because maybe this setting is done by any other teacher, no? So it may be the possibility. Wait for a second. Now it is fine, I guess. All our attendees now. Okay, so we were talking about the method overriding. So I have created another class B, and that is inheriting the property of a class. Then I'm going to create a method here also, def show. Okay, method overriding first I have to tell you. So method overriding means same function and the same name, same with same parameter is being passed, but the different classes, right? So what I'll do here, I'll just do one thing here. I'm not doing anything. I'm just writing the pass statement. I'm just creating empty class, right? Now I'm creating a object of this class, and I want to now call b dot show. So I have already discussed the default behavior of the inheritance, that first it is going to check in its own class. If it is not present, then it is going to access the another class, right? So ignore this one. This is the output for the previous one. In a show method, it is showing me, right? Because first of all, what it has done, it has checked in its own class. There is no such function available, so it has checked in the private inheritance class. But if I haven't used the concept of inheritance, it is going to give me the error like this. B object has no attribute show, right? So now suppose what I'll do, I'll again create functions in the same function with the same name in the B class. So what happened in B method? So whenever I'm going to now run this program, what it is going to give me in B show. So what it is saying, first it is looking at its own function. Yes, there is a show function available. So it has given me the output of this. No need to go and access the parent class. So this is the method overriding. Okay. So this is all about your classes. Let me share the code with you too. Okay, fine. So we are done with all the concepts. Now we left with one last concept, that is our file handling. Okay. So what we do in the file handling, File handling concept you have already done in the C language also, the last topic we can say. So file handling is basically these files are the named location on the disk that is used to store the information, and we can do make use of the file handling in the way whenever we want to permanently store our data in the non-volatile memory, or we can say in the hard disk, right? So in such cases we can make use of file handling concept. We will read from a file, write to a file, we need to open it first. When we are done, we can close the file also. So hence in the Python we have different operations that can place in the different order, like let me create a new file first. Okay, so what we do, we have three steps that we need to follow. First we need to open a file, then we need to read the file, and then need to close the file, right? So despite of explaining these things, let me just share the PPT with you first. Wait a second. Okay. Still the students are being admitted again and again. Why? Now all the are attendance, I guess. Okay, I was searching for the downloads that we have. Okay. Okay, so I hope the screen is visible to you. So we have the concept of Python files input output stream. That I already discussed you. These are the name store location. If I want to store my result permanently into the non-volatile memory or in the secondary storage, then I can do that thing with the help of this file handling concept. Then we need to do perform such things like we need to first open the file, then we need to write or make some modification if I want to, and then I won't need to close that file after doing all the modifications, right? So opening a file, we can open the file with using built-in function open function that is used to open a file. Syntax for that is that this function return a file object, also called a handle, that is used to read or modify the file accordingly. So I have created a file object f open test.txt. Now this is the file that I want to open. Okay, so this will going to open the file in the current directory. Then, or you can simply write the path of the file where the file is being spaced. So you have two ways to open a file, either provide a path or write a file name if that is present in your current directory in which you are working. Okay. Now we can also specify the mode while opening a file. So we have different type of the mode. R mode means we want to open the file only for the reading purpose. W mode means we want to do some modification in the file also. And append, A mode, if we want to add something into the files. Okay. And we can also specify if I want to open the file in the text mode or in the binary mode. So the default reading is in the text mode. Like these are the different modes we have: R, W, X, open for an exclusive file. If the file already exists, the operation will fail. And in case of the W file, it open the file for the writing, create a new file if file does not exist already, right? So after opening a file with the write mode, if the file is not present in the memory, you can by using that command and that mode, your file will be created. Then B will open the on the binary mode, T will open in the text mode. Though no need to mention if you want to open the by default mode. Like if I am writing only F is equal to open, then I am only writing the file name. It means by default that file will be opened in the read mode and in the text mode. Okay, so this is that syntax. A comma लगा के we can implement the W mode, and R plus B means read and write. Read and write. R plus mean we are opening the file for the read write. Plus meaning the plus is open a file for updating, reading and writing. So R plus mean reading and writing. In the binary mode, I have mentioned B also, right? Closing file. Closing file, after performing the file operations or the modification, we can perform the we can close the file by using the close method f dot close. Writing to a file by using the write function f dot write, we can write into a file. We need to write to open the file in the write mode, append mode, or the exclusive X mode. In these three modes, we can open and write into the files. Like text.test is my file name, W encoding if you want to give, that is up to you. Character, uniform characters if you want to provide. Then f.write is equal to my first file. This is what I am writing, slash and mean. Iske baad it will be a new line. Then this is file, new line, space of 2 lines. Then f.write contain 3 lines and then space. So this is how we can write into the files. So this is about this particular presentation. Let me share the another one. Okay, before discussing all these things, I guess it's better to run the program in front of you. That would be much better way. Okay, so suppose if I do something like this, f is equal to open test dot text. If I'll do only this thing, then what happened? Error it is giving no such file or directory present, right? Because I have written only the file name and no, I haven't mentioned any R or W mode. So if this file is not present in my directory, it is going to give me the error. But if I'll mention the W mode with it in the string form, then see what happened. No error. I can open the file and I can write into the file. It has run the program successfully. Okay, so remember one thing, R mode means we are opening the file that are already existing. If file does not exist, it will give you the error. But if I'm opening the file with W mode, then it will open the file if it exists. Otherwise, if my file doesn't exist, it is going to open the file in the that mode, and I can write into that particular file. Okay, then suppose now I want to write in this into this file. So if I want to check okay, is the dialog box that I have clicked on this particular file option and that it is visible to you? I guess, I hope this is not visible to you according to me, because I have shared only the window. It is not visible to you, right? Okay, let me share the entire screen then. I have done again share the wrong thing. Wait for a second. Now I hope, can anyone tell me please the screen is visible to you or not? Arya, please, we are only left with the 1 hour, half an hour. I need to complete this topic. Okay, fine, Mansi. Thank you. Okay, so now see, I have created this file by opening the text mode, W mode, right? Now, if I want to check into my directory, open, direct do the opening. These are the area in the Spider Py3 where my all Python related files are stored. So if I'll check here, see, this is my file present, right? If I want to open this file, this is blank, nothing is there because I have just opened the file. I haven't performed any modification, right? So now if I want to perform something on this, suppose if I want to write f dot write, I can write with this function. I want to write this is my file dash n. Okay, again I want to write one new line, f dot write, my name is Thanu. Okay, after doing these modifications, now I just want to close this. Let me run this thing also. I have written, this is run successfully. Now, what if I'll open the file again? This is stored in my memory in the laptop. Nothing is there still. Why? Because I haven't closed the file yet. So f dot close. Now I'll try to open again. See if there is something in my file or not. Yes. This is the information stored in my file now after closing the file, right? So we can open the file, we can perform some modification, and then we can close the file, and you can check in the directory that this will the information present in the file. I hope you are clear now. So open is done, write is done, close is done. Now suppose I just want to perform one thing. The file I have already created. Now I just want to, now after I know that my file exists now, right? Now suppose if I want to open this file in the read mode, or any, I don't mention any mode, it will by default it will be a read mode. So now it will get open or not? Yes, now it is giving me no error. So it has opened now in the read mode. So now f dot read. Okay, now for reading, we can mention the number of characters by using this read function. The read size we can mention that we are reading how many characters from the list. So suppose if I will mention 4 here, so what will happen? Okay, let me do this thing, print f dot read. See, it has written only four characters from the file. Okay, again you can mention the number of characters, the number of characters you want to read according to your choice. Then we have another two method, a seek method and tell method. Okay, so we can change our current file cursor position using the seek method. Suppose now I have written this, so my cursor is on 4th line. So if I want to change the cursor position, print, I'm just letting you know that what is my current cursor position, right? So if I'll do like this, Okay, argument I need to give. I need to mention, okay, oh, and I need to mention the cursor. So suppose if I'll do this thing and after that I'll again write, see, my file contained, this is my file, what was my file information? Let me open that file too to make it more clear. My file is saying, this is my file, my name is Tanu. So I have mentioned first the four sizes. So it will give me this is. So now my cursor is on this particular location, this space, right? So if after that I'll again read four character, it is going to give me this one space. First character is this space. Where is file? First character is this space. This at this particular 1, 2, 3, and this space. Okay. If I have mentioned here 6, so what I'll get is my also. Right now, suppose I want to change the permission, the cursor value where my cursor will point. I want to change that. So suppose I want it to make to use 0 initially. So if after that I want to do print, it will now start reading from the starting position. See this. So seek is used to change the cursor position. Okay, and tell will tell you about the current position in number of bytes. So if I'll do like this, print f dot tell 4. My pointer is at 4th position, it is telling me. So it will tell you about the current position of the cursor. Okay, so with the help of the seek, you can change the current position. With the help of tell, you can get to know about the current position. Then there is one more function, read line. If I'll read is used to read the particular characters, right? Print f dot read line. What it will do? It is reading. Now cursor is at 4th position. After 4th position, it has read only one line because my information in the one line, I have only this character, this sentence. This is my file. This is the another line. So if I want to read the another line, second line, I need to mention the another print line, read line. I will read my second line also by giving one line space. Okay. Then we have different number of the methods available. The close method we have already discussed, the file number, flush, read, read read lines, seek, tell, number of the methods available to you, but the basic method you can just go through with these. This is just the very much information related to that, right? We you know that now how we can convert the or change the directory by using the chdir command in the command version. If my file is stored in some other current directory and I am working on the my current working directory is this one. If I'll directly open this from here, it will directly navigate me to this particular location. Suppose my value is present in any of the another folder. So how can I change my directory? By using the chdir. Or you can also do one thing. Let me think if it is working here or not. OS dot list directory. Okay, this is not working here. Otherwise, in the command prompt, os.list directory will give you the list of the directory present in the current directory, Python directory. Make dir used to make the new directory and all this. That is your basic concepts commands. Okay. Then we have exception handling concept. Let me save this as a file. File and exception. Okay. So exception handling means if any kind of the unappropriate error will occur in my program, then I can handle that by handling the exceptions. So we have different built-in exceptions also available, like divide by zero and all other. So we can also define a user-defined exceptions. So we can make some mistakes like syntax error, logical errors. So in that type of the errors, we can handle the exceptions or make use of the exceptions, right? Like zero division error, file not found error. These are my logical errors. And the syntax error will be like if is not written in a correct way, semicolon is colon is not there. These type of the syntax error will be in there. So built-in exceptions we have assertion error, attribute error, end of file error, floating point error, generator error, import error. Many exceptions are there. If you search about the exception handling in the Python over the internet, you will get to know about different type of the inbuilt exceptions available. Indentation error is also there, type error, number of exceptions are available. So now what is exception handling? Exception can be handled by using three type of the block, try, except and finally, right? So with this, how we can catch the exception? Exceptions can be handled using a try statement, fine. Then the code that handle the exception is written inside the except, and catch is used to catch the exceptions. Okay. So I'll just write this simple example. Wait for a second. Okay. Suppose if I have taken an example, A is equal to int input enter A. Okay. Again, I will copy this thing. Let me make all this in C is equal to A by B I am doing. Okay. Then I'll do print C. Then I'll run the program. The value of A I have given is 10 and the value of B I have given is 0. So it is, okay, B I haven't. Wait. Let me clear this area first. Now I'll check enter A is 10, enter B is 0. So it is giving me the exception. See, this is my inbuilt exception, 0 division error, division by 0, right? So the above program, according to the syntax, this program is correct, right? But it threw the error because of the unusual input I have entered, right? So this is an exception. So that is why, to avoid such unusual input or unusual errors, if I'm talking of working over a bigger project, so that is why in such scenario exception handling plays an essential roles in handling these unexpected errors or unexpected exceptions. Okay, so we can handle this by using try and except block. By like what I'll do, I'll take the same code okay. I'll just doing one thing. I'm writing this into a try block, nothing else. So this is indentation error. It will give this print C. C is equal to AB. So now what I am doing, after that I'll write the exception here, except where I'm handling the exception, that print can't divide by 0. This is the exception I have created. In case if I have given the value as that thing, so it is going to give me the result, right? So what happened if I have given 10 and 5, so it is going to give me the result. Fine. What happened if I have given 10 and then 0? So again it is running by running the exceptions that can't divide by 0. It is not giving me error now. It is running that exception. I have handled the unexpected error. Okay. If you want to put the else statement, you can also put the else statement with program that in the exception I have written the exceptions that this is my exception. The else, if you want to print any else statement, you can do that. That is up to you, or that is the optional one. Also, if you want to implement the any except variable here, you also refer that. Otherwise, if you simply write except and then the statement, that can also work. If you want to use the exception variable with the except statement, that you can use with the help of the as keyword, like exception, exception as E. It will also work. Okay. And E. Fine. So if you want to work in that way, it can also work. Otherwise, you can ignore this thing. Like enter A, 10, 0, can't divide by 0, or division by 0, it has given the inbuilt exception. That is my inbuilt exception error. This is the statement that I have written, and this is the predefined inbuilt one that is given to you. Okay. Fine. Then another one is that there are different points to remember according to this thing, this particular part. Then if you want to declare multiple exceptions together, then how we can do that? So and this one line only we can make the changes. In my codes, I have put lot of comments. So according to you, you can, whenever you're going to run, make sure you are running a line within the with outside the comments. So now here I can mention except, suppose I have just directly given here, not writing this much line, a is equal to 10 by 0. Directly I'm doing this thing. So ignore this thing, 2 lines also. In the except, I am giving just 2 lines. Arithmetic error, see this is the inbuilt one keyword. So it will by default take this thing, comma, input, output, error. This is also the inbuilt one. Okay, so I have mentioned these exceptions. Fine. Now print arithmetic error. Now in I can take else here. Here I am writing else print successfully done. Okay, so there is a if I'll try to run this, it has given me the arithmetic error because division by 0 is my arithmetic error or arithmetic exceptions we can say, right? So you can also put multiple expression in one single block. Then we have a try finally block. Python provides the optionally finally block statement also that is used with the try statement and it is executed no matter what exceptions will occur and used to release the external resources. So whenever we can use the finally block, we try block which can paste the necessary code. Like suppose if I am taking one simple example, see whether the program is running, whether there is an exception or all, this statement is going to run anyhow. Finally, this is the only purpose of this one. So any compulsory statement you want to give at the end of the program or anything else that you can put into the finally block and it will be in the output. Okay. This is all about your exceptions. Then you can perform different type of the examples over the exceptions. You can also design a user defined exceptions. Okay. This is all about the basic syllabus related to your Python till the file handling. After that, there are many more concepts. The very Python is very vast subject or the vast area we can say. After that, there is the data visualizations. You can also create charts in the Python in a very easy way. Like suppose if I just want to, we have 10 minutes, so I just want to give you one simple examples. Hmm. It has different type of the library for the data visualizations like Panda, NumPy, Matplotlib. So if you have somehow any interest in the Python, you can just go through these type of the libraries. Your interest will be more in that, because visualizations things in the Pythons are very good in a very easy way. And uh, just want to, okay, for that I need to discuss the different, discussing chart with a simple example. I guess that is not possible. Let me try. Okay, there is one more thing that I forgot to discuss with you about the Python OS module. That if you want to remove any file from the file handle, if you want to remove any file, that we have discussed with you, make directory, change directory, that is you can do with the OS module that I have written os.directory. That cannot work here. That will work in your command prompt type. So you can also go through that too. So let me see if I can make you learn about the charts or not in 5 or 10 minutes. Either without. I need to discuss the library with you. Then we can make use of the charts. Any doubt till now? And what about this classes? Any feedback related to that? You can just discuss with me. We need to discuss about the type libraries like Matplotlib to implement the chart. So I guess that is not possible in this 5 minutes. So if you want to learn more about the Python area, about this NumPy, Pandas, and that, then you can contact me. You can take the number from your authority, and then if you need some information or some knowledge regarding to these two areas also, I can provide you that. Okay. Otherwise, there is one more day that go to the internet. There are different type of the YouTube videos available, and different type of pages are there in which you can just access and implement the Python. Python is not that much tough language to learn. It is a very easy one. So you can just go through the that material also and learn about the with data visualization concept that we have implemented in the data science. And you know that data science is in, the scope of data science is increasing day by day. So Python is a very good area in which you can increase your knowledge. Fine. So any doubt, please tell me. We have only 4 minutes left. So any kind of the doubt left with you, just let me know. Any doubt or anything you want from my side related to this subject, or anything else that you want to share. So this is the last time, 4 minutes we have, so you can interact. I'm not asking that you haven't interacted in the past two, three days, but at least for the last 4 minutes we can interact. That I can ask from you guys. Nothing is there? No one want to ask or say something? Okay, so I'm going to bind up the session. I guess there is nothing to say on you guys are. Okay, Janvi, thank you for the this information. So I'm going to bind up the session. Still, you would need any kind of information related to this subject, any more information, you just can contact me. Thank you for joining, and thank you for being a silent audience also, not responding on the time. Have a good day. Thank you.